This book, Deep Work by Cal Newport, completely changed my attention span. And no, you don't have to read the book, although you really should. I'm gonna break down how you can rebuild your focus step by step in a world designed to fragment it. Now think about this for a second. The author Cal Newport spent years and decades piling up all the information and strategies to master deep focus in a distracted world. Now, you don't have to read this book because I already did, and you can actually absorb all of this knowledge just by watching this 10-minute video. That is, if you listen up and take notes as well. It sounds too good, right? Well, it is. Let's get into it. Part number 1, deep work versus shallow work. You see, there is a clear and common distinction between shallow work and deep work. You see, shallow work are things like admin tasks, emails, sending messages, and these are tasks that, you could do distracted. This is all logistical work. Now just think about anything that could be replaced by a virtual assistant or, ChatGPT. That is shallow work that does not add value to the world. It adds some value, but not the value worth the time that you put in. Now, deep work, on the other hand, this is something you need full creative focus for. These are the tasks that nobody else could do besides you. Just think about this in terms of in your business or your 9 to 5 or whatever work you were doing, whatever career you were in, you were gonna have a lineup of 10 to 15 tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis. Now, first of all, remove the top 10 because they don't even matter. They're just nice to haves, and collect all of the must-have tasks. Now, those are the deep work tasks that are actually gonna add the most value to your business, that are gonna help you progress as much as possible. So Cal Newport makes a clear distinction between deep work and shallow work. And he also explains how most modern workdays actually drift towards shallow work by default. Just think about a normal workday for you, the average workday. Most oftentimes, you actually find yourself just gravitating towards those admin tasks. You don't really know why. You have those main tasks, but at the same time, just always find yourself doing things that don't matter. You have to be doing that main task, but there's just so much friction between you and that task, and it feels almost painful to start. So Chris Williamson has this saying, talking about doing the thing isn't doing the thing, writing a tweet about doing the thing isn't doing the thing, thinking about how you're going to do the thing isn't doing the thing, planning how you might do the thing isn't doing the thing. In other words, nothing is doing the thing except doing the thing. That thing, that task, the deep work, the thing that is gonna scale your business, the couple of high value tasks that are just gonna make the most difference with your business, with your life, with your tasks, with your productivity. Now let's talk about the cost of actually spending your time with low value activities. You see, there is a clear distinction between being busy, being productive, and being effective. Being busy is the worst. This is where you spend most of your time doing low depth activities, shallow work, and you don't get the results that you want. The middle ground is being productive, meaning you do a mix of deep work and shallow work, but you still spend way more time than you need to on shallow work. And effective is the best of the best. This is where you spend 90% of your time on the deep work tasks, the highest leverage things, and you only spend 10% of your time on shallow work, menial tasks that you can't really avoid, but aren't going to get you to where you want to be. Now, Cal Newport actually mentions that there are going to always be shallow tasks. You can't completely avoid them, but that is why you need to set a time for them. You need to set a small window, like a 30-minute time block, where you do all of your shallow tasks. This way, the shallow tasks, the energy you need for these admin tasks, does not leak into your deep work. Now, in today's day and age, everybody is distracted. We live in a distracted world. We have social media, your phone, your notifications, the thousands of things that are meant and designed to distract you. And that is why it is more important than ever to master deep focus so you can create success and build success through focus in a distracted world. Now, the biggest trap that we all fall into is being busy. You see, being busy often means avoiding the type of work that is actually going to help you, that actually produces value. And that's the work that a lot of the times is hard to do, but it's also the most rewarding. Comment down below if this sounds familiar. You know exactly what you have to do. You know the work that you need to be doing to get to the next step, to sign a new client, to post that content and get more subscribers, to grow your business, to run more ads, whatever it is that you do. You have that task, you know exactly what you have to do, but for some reason, you start off your day and the distractions just start piling up. One phone notification turns into 2, turns into checking your phone for 5 minutes and then 10, and then going back to work, and then you decide to put your phone away, but now you have your computer, and all of a sudden you open YouTube and you get distracted there, and you do 30 minutes of work, and then you do another 10 minutes of just scrolling and getting distracted, and then you can't focus. And then by the time it's like 6 p.m., you actually didn't do much. You still have this feeling of, I had all these tasks and I didn't really accomplish anything. And then because of that, you feel the need to work later into the night, 8 p.m., 10 p.m., and you still think you have a couple of hours of deep work, but all that does is just reinforce that you are not productive throughout the day, and it forces you to sleep late and wake up late and start at a disadvantage the next day. And it reinforces this cycle of procrastination. Now that probably sounds familiar because I've been there, you've been there, we've all been there. So that is the exact problem that Cal Newport addresses with his book Deep Work. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on in these next 2 parts. Now, most people think they're not where they want to be because of lack of circumstance or luck or strategy, but it's all just because of discipline. You see, your level of success never exceeds your level of discipline. And attention span and focus, like Deep Work talks about, are all forms of discipline. And in this next part, I'm going to explain the cost of having a low attention span. Part 2. Fragmented focus. You see, attention breaks through small interruptions. You need approximately 15 minutes to shift your brainwaves to enter the flow state. Now, the problem is every time you sit at your desk and 5 minutes goes by and you check something like an email or you check your phone, you are breaking your flow. You are interrupting the process through which you enter the flow state and begin to actually build levels of focus. Now, anything you train, you get good at. If you train in the gym for 5 years, you're gonna obviously develop a good physique. If you train something like pen spins like this for 2 years, you're gonna get decent at it. You know, anything you train, anything you practice is going to develop into a skill. Now, in the same exact way, you've actually been training the skill of being distracted. And that's why it feels so easy to get distracted and so hard to focus. Now, studies have actually found that the overall cost of switching between tasks is actually 40 to 50% more time. And in other studies, they found 50% or more efficiency loss. And this is one of the biggest things that steals your focus. It is context switching. Switching between tasks before actually finishing something. This is fragmented focus. And Cal Newport actually describes this in attention residue. He talks about attention residue, and what this is exactly why the mind doesn't reset cleanly. This is the idea that a part of your mind actually never leaves the last thing that you were doing. Therefore, you always just have a fraction of your focus. So from the start and the very beginning of your day, you have a certain level of focus, and over time, throughout the day, your focus actually starts getting cut in half. So it goes like this. Let's say you have 100 points of focus, 2 hours go by, and now you have 50, and then you have 25, and then you have 12.5, and then you have 6.75, and then you have half of that, and half of that, and half of that, and it just waters down, and your focus begins to dilute throughout the day. This is why you need to put your highest value tasks, the highest priorities, the biggest needle movers at the start of the day, because obviously that's when you have the most focus and also the least attention residue. You see, the thing with fragmented focus is it actually reduces depth of work even when you return to the task. You see, this is a long-term effect of attention residue. Attention residue is basically the cost of switching tasks. But fragmentation explains why you never enter the flow state, because you never allow yourself to be deep enough into focus to actually cultivate the flow state. Now, deep work is one of the most valuable things in today's day and age. If you want to build a business, if you want to build success, if you want to become rich and achieve success in whatever form, you need focus. You need to build something real. And that is exactly where deep work comes in. This includes the ability to quickly master hard things. And number 2 is the ability to produce at a very high level in terms of both quality and speed. And the deep work formula actually goes like this. High quality work produced equals time spent times intensity of focus. Now, Cal Newport actually argues that deep work leads to a more fulfilling life. Your brain constructs your worldview based on what you pay attention to. By cultivating prolonged focus on complex and meaningful tasks, this prevents your mind from focusing and dwelling on meaningless, trivial things. Now, if you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel and let's talk about how to integrate deep work effectively into your life. Part number 3, the threshold effect. What we have to understand is that deep work is not instant. It has this breakthrough point, the point where everything starts to click, but this is a buildup of previous successes and wins. Only after the point where you push through initial resistance and distractions and you actually make it to 15 minutes of uninterrupted work, that is the point where things start to click. Cal Newport explains that focus doesn't become stable right away. It actually builds gradually until it crosses a certain threshold. And before that point, your mind wants to escape. Your mind just wants to go and scroll, go and check a notification, switch tasks, and just do anything else. Your mind is always going to search for the easiest possible input, hence why you get distracted and why you just look and search for easier stimulation even when you're working. But here's the key turning point. If you stay consistent for long enough, concentration actually starts to stabilize. You find it easier and easier to get into flow state, to focus, and you find it harder and harder to get distracted from your work. And that is where real deep work becomes possible. So here are some practical strategies that you can use in your own life. So number 1 is schedule deep work like an appointment. You want to schedule it in advance using time blocks. And the key thing here is if you had a doctor's appointment at 2 p.m. tomorrow, you're not going to miss it. If you had an interview tomorrow at 6, you would be there tomorrow at 6. But for some reason, when you tell yourself, I'm going to do deep work tomorrow at 2 p.m., you don't do deep work tomorrow at 2 p.m. Instead, you scroll, you get distracted, and you procrastinate. The same exact way, if you had to wake up for your job at 8 a.m., you had an appointment, you're gonna wake up at 7. But as soon as you set yourself promises and you tell yourself, I wanna wake up at 7 a.m. because I just want to, you will end up waking up at 10. Now, there's a difference between self-appointments and external appointments. Self-appointments are harder to keep because you are your accountability, and it's easy to just push things off and justify why you're not gonna follow through. If you have an appointment with yourself to do deep work in the morning, or to go to the gym, or to wake up early, then nobody's gonna hold you accountable. But as soon as you have external pressure, it's a lot easier to stick to those because you have external pressure and accountability. Now ask yourself this one simple question. How can you make your deep work appointments just as important, if not more important, than any other appointment that you might have? Number 2 is create a consistent ritual for deep work. The same place, the same time, the same routine, and the same startup. This is going to give yourself consistent cues and triggers to do deep work and to enter a flow state of focus. Having a ritual and a routine to start actually makes deep work very predictable. Now, number 3 is limit attention fragmenting inputs. Any inputs that fragment your attention, that cause you to context switch, to think about something else, to pull your attention away from the deep work, those are inputs that should be limited. These inputs include scrolling social media, watching short form content. This has been shown by studies to reduce your focus. Now, number 4 is train focus directly by practicing boredom instead of reaching for distraction when the mind resists. There is a certain point when you're working where you get the thought, you get the urge of, I need to check my phone, or I want to go and do something else. That is the turning point. If you push through that point, then you will make it to flow state. If not, then you will keep interrupting your deep work. It is the same way, let's say you're doing a 5K run. There is a certain point in the run where you're gonna feel fatigued, you're gonna feel tired, and you're gonna have a thought telling you to stop, telling you to take a break, to do something else. But you told yourself you were gonna run 5K, so you have to push through and run 5K and finish the run. It is the same thing with deep work. Force yourself to stay focused for long enough to build something real. Instead of going off task, instead of chasing cheap dopamine and opening your phone, command your willpower and your mindset to allow you to just stick to the task. Do one single task at a time. Do not switch tasks. Do not context switch. Do not multitask. Multitasking is a big myth. Just focus on one thing, finish it 100%, and then move on to the next thing, finish it 100%, then move on to the next and the next and the next. This is called sequential focus. And that is the main thing deep work wants you to achieve. The ability to master focus to build a life you don't need to escape from. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you will find a link in the description below where you can apply to learn how to rebuild your discipline and identity, which obviously includes mastering deep work, so you can eliminate procrastination, fix your inputs, and as a result, make more money. This is not for everybody, so click the link below to see if you're a good fit. And remember, your level of success never exceeds your level of discipline. Take care, and you got this.